at your place, and because I had school the next morning, like.
Man, well, we set the clock to Nova Scotia time, which is an hour back from Cleveland. So we set the clock to 5 p.m. and then left Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then I got out of that car at my apartment at 5 p.m. the next day.
Yeah.
So Nick drove for 22 hours, pretty much straight, no sleep really, and so that's why it bugs me when people complain about long drives.
I know, man. I know.
I'm gonna grab a beer. Do you want one?
Yes.
Fly solo for a bit, entertain the crowd.
Yes, well, how about I tell you a story about when I was a wee lad? I once grew up, and, and then I stopped growing, and, I started living as a large man, a full-grown man. And the things I would get up to as a full-grown man, I'll tell you what, they were pretty interesting. Most folks don't like to stick around and hear it, but since you can't go nowhere, I'm going to let you know. I used to breed horses, and I used to breed dogs, and I used to breed horses with dogs, and most people don't think it's a really respectable way to go about doing things, but, the way a dog and a horse, they're just meant to be together, in my opinion, and it's not a popular one, and I understand all that, but the thing about horses and dogs is that they love you the same. A horse, he'll remember your name, and he'll remember his own name, and that's important. And a dog, obviously, well, he'll remember your name, too, and his name, and the horse's name, and he'll take the horse out on a few dates first, and butter her all up, you know how it goes. Next thing you know, you got a horse fucking a dog, and then you get yourself a nice little baby horsey fucking pup out there, and it's just a good old time, and you show her off to the boys, and everyone likes her, and people start taking pics, people start making fan pages for her online, and next thing you know, you're a celebrity in your hometown, and everyone wants a piece of you. So, you visit all your folks and your friends, and everyone likes you for a bit, and then, once the fame kind of, gets, the novelty wears off, everyone kind of gets a little bored, and then they move on, and, they're on to the next bigger and better thing. But I'm still breeding horses with dogs, and and, I love it, and that's the way I live my life.
Very good. So, you can just log on to www.dogballswallacehorsedogfarm.com, and it's a non-profit organization. You can donate all the money you have, ideally, and he'll just keep on breeding these horse dogs. And it'll be a sad day if that horse dog farm ever comes to an end. It's brought lots of joy to many people. But, yeah, that's a little taste of the Wallace improvisation. It gives you a little taste of what a ride in a car with that guy might be like for 24 hours straight each way. So the trip entailed easily, over 4 or 5 days of that in the vehicle. We had so many ridiculous running jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we had this... it's not even worth going into, I don't think.
Well, I mean, we don't have the time.
No.
We'll have a fucking 8-part lecture series on all those fucking jokes.
Yeah. So, another defining quality of our relationship has definitely been psychedelic experiences.
Hell yeah.
I actually didn't smoke weed even until I was 19, and it was after a band practice with you guys, and you guys smoked
Then you met me.
Yeah, then I met you. And you guys smoked me up for the first time, and
oh man,
I laughed so
still
hard.
remember that, man, making you laugh until you were just blue in the face and crying and just like spitting and just like, oh my god, it was so funny, man.
Yeah, it's not every day you get to show someone weed for the first time.
Yes, exactly.
Have that good of a...
Yeah, and you just fucking...
It hit me hard.
Yeah. And then you're immediately like, yeah, that's what I want to be doing.
Never stop smoking.
That was kind of like me, man. I remember the first time I ever smoked weed. I smoked weed. I got high, enjoyed it, loved it. Went to bed that night thinking like, I'm going to be a guy who smokes weed from now on.
Yeah, defining character trait for at least a bit.
For at least a bit, yeah.
And so then it was like, at that time though, I had been curious about weed for quite a while, and
right, totally.
I was rather convinced it was harmless, and so I went ahead and did it. But I was still pretty adamant with not wanting to do mushrooms or acid or anything, but
For
although
sure.
you guys had talked to me a lot about that as well.
But that's like there's like the natural like echelon of like intensity. For some reason, it starts with weed, you know, and then people think mushrooms, and then people think acid is like more intense than mushrooms or whatever.
Yeah, although that's not true at all.
No.
But so eventually it was like 2 or 3 months later that I did mushrooms for the first time with you guys.
Right, at Matt's place.
Yeah. So you guys really introduced me to that whole realm of experience. And one thing that was the most striking for me going into it was, you guys not only educated me, but showed me how to educate myself. Further, you got me listening to Terrence McKenna, Joe Rogan, all these people who are psychedelic advocates. Graham Hancock's a big one.
Hell yeah.
Ram Dass got his start with psychedelics.
Yeah.
And now there's just so many more. There's Paul Stamets, that guy.
That guy's amazing, man. I love that guy.
Yeah. I feel like he's like a more grounded McKenna.
Totally. Yeah, I really like the way he talks about McKenna. Because it's, like, interesting. Because, like, so many people suck McKenna's dick all day.
I know,
yeah. And it's like, I'm not saying he's not worthy of it. I don't know the guy on that level. But, like, he's a person, you know what I mean? He's not a god. He's not, like, a flawless individual. Like, but people like to talk about him like that.
I know, yeah. And it's interesting because he was so against all that.
Yeah.
He would tell you there's no one out there with the answers.
Of course.
There's no religion or historical practice that's going to completely solve the whole puzzle for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would make him uncomfortable if he was alive today and heard
how probably
people,
the way people idolize him.
Yeah, it's like no, that's not the idea at all.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
Anyways, but you guys got me listening to all those people, and so then I also was reading up about it online. Eventually, decided to do it, and the most striking thing immediately off the bat was how none of that shit could even scratch the surface of what was about to happen.
Yeah,
it's like
the amount of research doesn't matter.
There's every possible. It's a completely new way of experiencing life. Your brain has never ever perceived anything in that manner before.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah,
for most people, I'd have to guess. And so, when you go into a psychedelic experience, I mean, luckily, I've always been a pretty open-minded person, so I had that on my side. But goddamn, man, it's nothing you have perceived previous is gonna be of service.
No.
It's just complete foreign territory.
Yeah.
It's like you've never existed ever before, and you're just in this whole new
And
world.
because of that, any preconceived negative notion, throw that out the window too. Because it's like, so many people will build up, the fear of the bad trip or whatever, and that is why you have bad trips. Because you spend the whole time being like, I don't want a bad trip, man. I don't want a bad trip. Like, I'll take some mushrooms, but man, what if I get a bad trip? It's like,
the anxiety is just gonna multiply.
It's gonna give you one, man. Because
part of it is that it's just gonna it's gonna break you at your weakest point.
Exactly.
It's gonna show you your deepest fault. It's not gonna.
The truth hurts, man.
The
truth hurts, and it's ugly sometimes.
It's horrifying sometimes. And so the thing about it is that it's not this. Well, so here's the thing that got me about it too, is that because I had these experiences, I had a few trips under my belt, and they were all fucking. I still reflect about them, and
me too.
To this day.
Yep.
And it's been years and years, and so.
And a lot more has happened since
then.
Many other
still
trips can remember them,
Exactly. They all have some nugget, at least, of wisdom came from each one. Or if anything, just some reinforcement of previous lessons too. Yeah. But those first ones were so earth-shattering for me. It took me even years to kind of put my life back together. It just everything was so up in the air.
Yeah.
But you're just walking around not having any real clue what is the world? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Just so. Because it throws everything you thought you knew completely upside down. And so then I started talking about it with other people, and we were studying music in college together. That's how we've all met. And so there's artists and musicians, and everyone's into doing drugs and stuff. And and so there's many people who had also experienced psychedelics that we went to school with, and some of them I would talk to would just have nothing but negative things to say.
Yeah,
and I'd be like, "Whoa, how could that be the case?" Because I have had such crazy, enlightening, and profound self-realizing experiences that aren't necessarily pleasant by any stretch, but but
important.
nonetheless, yeah, exactly, important. And so it's I was confused, and so I'd be like, well, how did you have what were you doing? What was the context? How much did you do? Blah blah blah. And I swear to God, it could be even 100%. I'm sure it's not, because I don't want to be that absolutist about it.
Yeah.
But it seemed like damn near every single one of these people who had a bad trip, they were like, the classic example I always use is they were just drunk at some Halloween party, and it just was getting passed around in a big baggie, and they were just trying to get fucked up. They're just trying to party, just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
And you eat the mushroom, and the mushroom's gonna show you you.
It's gonna let you see,
It's you without your own fucking bias in the way. So everywhere that you've been a shitty person, everywhere that you've been less than you could be, everywhere you didn't try your best, everywhere that you're got, unrevealed psychological hang-ups that you weren't aware of necessarily on a conscious level, it's just going to throw all these things at you and force you to have to handle it, or deal with it, or go through that experience. And if
you don't get to opt out of the psychedelic experience once you're in it.
Once you eat it, you're along for the ride.
Let it run its course and let it do what it's got to do to you.
So when you're not looking for something like that, and you're at a party drunk, perhaps, and I did hear that Halloween story once, a few times even. Like just I can only imagine everyone's dressed up in costumes.
Doesn't seem like the sickest time to do it. Especially if it's like if you're new to it, or first time.
Yeah, so I was just stunned by how many people have actually no idea. I mean, it's getting so much more attention now than it has. Yeah. So that's really great. But you're going to have a bad trip if you're just trying to party with these things. Unless you're really experienced and you know what you're getting into, and you're not afraid of or adverse to being faced with any of those kinds of things. So, the bad trip. There's like a bad trip formula. And most people pull it off, and then they have a horrible trip, and then they're totally off the psychedelics. Might even, say no one should ever do them, or ever, that there's nothing but bad.
Totally.
And you don't have a valid perspective on it because you haven't done it properly.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's a medicine, man. It's like, these are ritualistic. You know what I mean? They've always been, and like us in terms of our human body, and like we're no different than our ancient ancestors and stuff in terms of their bodies, and their connections, and like we are not nearly as connected with nature or with even fucking reality like they were.
With each other.
Or with each other big time. And it's because I think, we lose those like community bonding ritualistic experiences like fucking psychedelic experiences, man. Like the people that I've done psychedelics with, that bond is there forever. You could be, I could never see you. You could exit my life for 20 years. I mean, it's a little different with us because we've also have a ton of other things to bond over. But like, let me think of someone that I've just done psychedelics with and didn't really hang out so much. Okay, a good example is the first time I ever did psychedelics was at Evolve Festival,
music festival
a few years ago.
Scotia.
And I remember Brandon was all like, he had tried mushrooms before I did, and he was just like, man, mushrooms are so sick, man, you gotta give them a try, like you'll love it, and we gotta do it together sometime, like just you and I, and we'll have a good time. And I was like, okay, sweet. So then eventually we decided to go to Evolve, and then that's when we decided we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the mushroom. I'm gonna do my first trip at Evolve, and it's gonna be a great time. So I mentally prepped myself, being like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do mushrooms, and it's gonna be great. And when we went to our dude that we were trying to get them from, we asked him. He didn't have any mushrooms on him. All he had was acid. And he was like, but I can give you some of that. And I was like, still under that stigma of like, well, acid's like a lot more intense than mushrooms. Like, I'm comfortable with mushrooms. I don't know, like, about acid yet. But Brandon was like, yeah, sure. And so I'm like, well, okay, let's go. And I take it, and I'm thinking, man, I do not want to have a bad trip. And I could literally start feeling the light leaving, like, my peripheral vision, like it was getting darker. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and then I was like, no, man, like, I'm here with my best friend and these other cool people and all these people, and we're all fucking tripping, and we're here to see some great music, and we're gonna have a great time. Like, how could I have a bad trip here, you know? I can't. So I started thinking like that.